On your screen right now is what is probably the most important map of the year so far. This is the map of the now 32 members of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. And today, March 7th, 2024, the day I'm recording this, a brand new country has been added to the alliance. Can you guess which one? I'll give you a hint, they really like furniture. Drum roll, please. You read the title, it's Sweden. He is joining NATO. In fact, the Secretary General of NATO took to Twitter today to say it's official. Sweden is now the 32nd member of NATO, taking its rightful place at our table. Sweden's accession makes NATO stronger, Sweden safer, and the whole alliance more secure. I look forward to raising their flag at NATO HQ on Monday. So what is NATO? Why is Sweden now ending 200 years of military neutrality? Why was it so difficult for Sweden to join? Why does it even matter? And what is Sweden? Seriously. Well, starting with that first question, what is NATO? The North Atlantic Treaty Organization is a treaty organization that is spread across the North Atlantic. It's basically just a group of country friends who love each other very much and have agreed to defend each other and spend at least 2% of their GDP on defense. Except some of the countries kind of hate each other and like half of them don't even spend the 2%. It also just so happens to be the most powerful alliance on Earth. And for years, NATO has gone through rounds of expansion, adding countries like Albania and Croatia in 2009, Montenegro in 2017, North Macedonia in 2020, Finland last year, and Sweden today. And these rounds of expansion have made one really big country pretty uncomfortable. Can you guess which one? If you said Serbia, you wouldn't really be wrong, but I was thinking of Russia. That's right, Vladdy Daddy is really not a fan of the alliance, except for the fact that he kind of wanted to join it back in 2000, but I don't know, times were weird, man. Anyway, Putin hates NATO so much that on February 24th, 2022, Russia, as you probably already know, started its invasion in Ukraine, largely over the fear that Ukraine would join NATO. Like I said, he really doesn't like them. In fact, in a speech he made on February 24th, 2022, he said, referring to NATO, "The war machine is moving, and I repeat, it is coming close to our borders." Like I said, he doesn't like them. So how well did this work out for Putin? Did Ukrainians welcome Russian soldiers with open arms? Did the Ukrainian capital Kiev fall in a week and celebrate with vodka? Did NATO collapse and President Biden get sent to the moon? No, in fact, two more countries, Finland and now Sweden, actually joined NATO, and the fighting is still going on 2 years later. To Putin's dismay, as you can imagine. So that basically explains why Sweden is joining NATO. It really comes down to what's going on in Ukraine. Finland and Sweden, fearing a more aggressive Russia, both formally applied to join NATO on May 18th, 2022, about 3 months after the start of the war. Now, in order to become a member of NATO, your country must meet certain criteria. This includes the certain political, economic, and military criteria set out in the Alliance's 1995 study on enlargement. These criteria include a functioning democratic political system based on a market economy, fair treatment of minority populations, a commitment to resolve conflicts peacefully, an ability and willingness to make a military contribution to NATO operations, and a commitment to democratic civil military relations and institutions. Holy crap, that's a mouthful. Basically, you just have to be a democracy, preferably in the North Atlantic-ish region of the world. But even if you meet all those criteria, you must first be approved by every single member of the alliance. So if you aren't unanimously approved by the NATO members, tough luck, buddy, you're not getting in. So about 11 months after applying to join NATO, Finland was finally admitted as the 31st member of the alliance. The same, however, could not be said for Sweden. In fact, Sweden's process of accession into NATO was pretty difficult because two countries held out their approval, those being Turkey and Hungary, each with their own political reasons for doing so. Sweden has basically criticized both countries' politics for quite some time. Hungary's Prime Minister Viktor Orban is a pretty controversial figure in Europe, and Hungary's government as a whole is leaning a little bit on the nationalist side. And Turkey, with its president Recep Tayyip Erdogan, is in a similar situation. However, Turkey also has a pretty complicated relationship with its own Kurdish population who wish to form their own state. If you want to learn a little bit more on why both countries initially held out on approving Sweden, I'll leave a great video in the description for you to watch. But despite these setbacks for Sweden, Turkey finally ratified its approval on January 23rd, 2024. PBS says this was for a few reasons, one of them being Sweden strengthening its anti-terrorism laws in response to Ankara, which is Turkey's capital's security concerns, as well as NATO agreeing to establish a special coordinator for counterterrorism, as well as Sweden apparently agreeing, quote, to support actively the efforts to reinvigorate Turkey's EU accession process. Sweden also apparently announced that it would seek improved customs arrangements and take steps to implement visa-free European travel for Turkish citizens. So on Sweden's part, there was a little bit of a trade-off. We'll give you some and we'll get some. Then about a month later, on February 26, 2024, Hungary also approved Sweden's membership. According to Reuters here, Sweden is leaving 200 years of neutrality and military non-alignment behind. Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban's government has faced pressure from NATO allies to fall in line and seal Sweden's accession to the alliance. So Sweden's officially in NATO, but now what? Sweden is a nation of roughly 10 million people, which really isn't that many. So in that case, what does Sweden bring to the table? Well, let me tell you something. Sweden is absolutely loaded. Despite their small population population, they have a roughly $600 billion GDP, which is a lot if you don't know. Fun fact, North Korea still owes Sweden about $330 million for 1,000 Volvos and other mechanical equipment they bought from them in 1974. Of course, they haven't paid it back, and they probably won't anytime soon. Anyway, Sweden's also ranked as having the 29th most powerful military in the world, which is pretty good again for its population. But perhaps the greatest advantage Sweden brings to NATO is its geographical location, and particularly just how close it is to Russia. And even more so than Sweden, Finland has an even greater geographical advantage considering it has a 1,340 kilometer long border with Russia. I'm running out of breath. Well, anyway, that's the news. Sweden's in NATO. Let me know in the comments whether or not you support Sweden's accession to NATO, and also make sure to like and subscribe, because, I mean, why not? I hope you enjoyed this new style of video, and until next time, goodbye!